everyone, welcome back to my channel. And today I basically thought of making a video talking about my mock test scores in both 11th and 12th in Allen. And also I wanted to talk about how I used to do test analysis after the tests and how I used to basically try and not make the same mistakes again. Hopefully this video can help you. And yeah, if you're new here, my name is Anusha and I scored 610 out of 720 in NEET 2025 with an All India rank of 790. And yeah, let's start the video. So these are my 11th grade test papers, all of the tests that I gave in Allen in 11th grade. So this is all of them, and this is a little bit bigger. These are my 12th and all of the full syllabus tests and everything else. So I have around 90% of the papers here, but then there are obviously some papers that just keep lying around and I wasn't able to find them all. But yeah, these are around 90% of the papers that I gave in Allen. And so this is 12th, okay, and this is 11th from Allen. So I was in the classroom coaching program of Allen, and I used to have regular tests every 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. I used to have a test based on whatever syllabus we used to cover in the class, and also after the syllabus got over, we had part syllabus tests, and ultimately we started having full syllabus tests in 11th as well as in 12th. Alright, so first I'll talk about what my marks were in my 11th grade test papers. So this is my 11th grade test papers. As you can see, here is written 646 out of 720. This was my first ever test that I wrote in Allen, first ever test that I ever wrote, which was of NEET format. So the date over here is 3rd May 2023. I thought it was 2025, but I was confused. Okay, anyways, so it's written 3rd May 2023, and this was basically, I had started my classes in April, and after 1 month of the first month in April, we had a test in May, and this was my test. And I basically we had basic maths and units and dimensions come for this test, and I managed to score 646 out of 720. I think my rank was 36 in the whole South India, because I'm in Bangalore. So my rank was around 36, and I was quite happy with it, to be honest. I was okay, that's great. I'm really happy because I was aiming for 600 plus. So yeah, I mean, getting 646 was a big deal for me. So I obviously wanted to do better, but then I was happy, okay, this is some place to start. So in my first test I got 646, and then we had the next test, which was in about a month later. So this was on 21st June, and also we had a holiday in the month of May, so it was great, very chill. So in that test I got 661, the second test that I gave, and I was again really happy because I was okay, this is doing good. But the only thing that was bothering me at this time was my physics, because I wasn't really getting good marks in physics at this time. It was around 150 to 160, so I wanted based on 2023 paper, because this was based on that paper, I was I have to at least manage minimum of 170 to get a good rank and stuff. So this was that. And then okay, this was the SRG screening test, to figure out to determine whether you will be fit to go into SRG or not. And I got somewhere around 620 in this paper, and I was accepted into SRG. I was in SRG in both my 11th as well as in 12th. And yeah, this obviously SRG papers are a bit tough, so my marks used to decrease in that. I mean, I'll talk about that. And then after that, this was my third test. This was on 12th of July, and I got 663. It was almost constant from the previous test. So I was okay, this is maybe gonna work out, and it just kept continuing like that. So then this was our major test. In major test, basically they club the syllabus of the previous tests and they give the test together, put the syllabus together, and you're supposed to write the test for that, right? So I got 670 in that. Again, I was very happy because I thought that if I'm getting good marks in major test, that means I can handle the syllabus together. And ultimately what matters are your marks in your major tests and your full syllabus tests, more than I feel just chapter wise tests, because you can do detailed study of a chapter, but keeping all of that information in your head for tons of chapters, that's what really tests your memory, tests your hard work and all of that. So now I'll try and show you inside the paper and like show how I used to attempt my paper and all the calculations and stuff that I used to do. So I'll just take this major test paper because this was a bit hard for me, and I had done a lot of calculations and stuff in this paper, so probably this will be a good example to show. So the first part that we have in the paper is physics. As you can see, there's like a lot going on over here, right? And this is a question that I used to just circle. So it's circled with like pink color pen, so that means I got it wrong. When I was doing analysis, I would basically circle it with pink color just to like, you know, distinguish which I have got wrong. So this means that I have got this question wrong. And then we have like the next questions, and like I used to try and do maximum of the calculations next to the question itself, just so that when I'm coming back to revise my paper, if I have time, it would be a lot more easier for me to do that. So this is how I used to solve it. So basically during my round 1 of solving, I used to solve it with pencil. So anything if you see with pencil, that means I've done it in round 1. But then when I used to come back after solving the whole paper, if I have time to revise some questions, I would do the calculations with pen, because I wanted to immediately bubble the OMR after, you know, confirming my answer. Then I would like just recheck my calculations and I would basically bubble it with pen. Alright, and here continuously like just physics. The next page also it's the same, right? It's just like that, and it's basically a lot of calculations. This is another question that I got wrong, so I circled it with pink color pen, and this is when I was doing test analysis. So when I was coming to test analysis, I would see, okay, I've got this question wrong, let me like bubble it and let me circle it, and I used to circle it with a pink color or a red color pen, doesn't matter, just so that I can distinguish between like black and blue, right, and see that okay, this is like something that I got wrong. So then I would just try and do the calculations here, and try if you can divide it into like round 1 and round 2 of your. So in round 1, what you would do is like solve the paper the first time, and then you know, solve your physics, chemistry, bio, everything. And then once you're done with that, if you still have time left, like around, you know, 30 minutes or more, then you can come back and, you know, see your physics calculations just to make sure that you don't end up doing silly mistakes, right? And then we have, so yeah, this is just the whole physics paper. It's like filled with calculations and like filled with all the questions that I got wrong, right? And yeah, next is chemistry. Now chemistry, there's a lot of calculation here also, because we had physical chemistry in this. So we had states of matter and we had thermodynamics. Although states of matter later got deleted, so it kind of became pointless to like learn the chapter. So but yeah, we had already done it in class, so I mean we had a test on it, and then later it got deleted from the syllabus. So this was my physical chem. I had a tough time in thermodynamics and thermochemistry, so my paper wasn't that great in this. So yeah, this is how I would do the calculations right next to the question, and if I got it wrong, I would just circle it, and then I would like analyze it. How I would analyze, I will tell you later, but this is just to show you guys the paper and how I used to solve it. This is like a major test. So this is, again, this is still chemistry, because there's a lot of calculations. It's physical chem. In inorganic or like organic, there wouldn't be so many, you know, lines and stuff on the paper. But yeah, this is how I would do the calculations. And you know, earlier I used to take extra rough sheets also, but then towards the end of NEET, like towards like when there were like around 3-4 months left, I stopped taking an extra sheet. I used to try and solve all the questions in my question paper, because we don't get a rough sheet during NEET. You have to solve the questions in your paper itself. And what happens most of the time, at least, I mean, I don't know mostly, but it happened with me, is that your invigilator may or may not allow you to solve the question right next to the question. Like she'll probably tell you that, you know, solve it in the dedicated space that they give for rough work. So it happened to me during NEET, like my invigilator just did not allow us to solve and do the calculations next to the question. She's like, you know, do it at the end where they've given the blank sheet for rough work. So beware of that, right? I used to think that we would be allowed to, but it wasn't allowed. So yeah, I had a tough time in physics, especially trying to do all the calculations in one question, in one page. But yeah, when she's not looking, you can sort of, you know, if you know what I'm saying. So but yeah, anyways, this was chemistry, and also that time we had section B. Section B was not yet removed, so that was like we had we could like leave 5 questions. So I was like pretty used to, section A, section B. I'm pretty sure every 2025 aspirant was used to it. But fine. So that was chemistry. Let's move on to botany. So this is botany. We had plant kingdom, only algae and bryophyta in this, which was really easy. And this was, I also remember, this is not a major paper. I think the last one was the major paper. Oh no, this one is the major paper. Sorry guys, this is a minor paper. That's why I was kind of shocked. How can we have only this much syllabus in a major paper? But anyways, this was a minor paper. The next one was a major paper. Sorry about that. Okay. This is botany. This was the first ever time that I got full in botany. I still remember to this day, because I was really happy, because botany was like one of my weakest subjects in the starting of 11th. I used to get around 140, 150 in botany, and this was the first time I got full in botany, so I was really happy. And this was like very not much scribbling and all that here and there. Very, very straightforward questions, straightforward answers. So yeah, that's how I do botany. There's nothing great I can show you about biology, because biology, so this is zoology now. We are breathing an exchange of gases in this, and this is how I would basically just, take the question and see like this. Earlier, I wouldn't, underline and read the question, but later I started doing that, and that sort of started increasing my accuracy of getting these type of questions right. So if you're trying to solve an association reason, what I would recommend is they're saying over here, let's say that this is the assertion. Right here, this is the assertion. They're saying an increase in pulmonary volume causes inspiration. So what you would probably do when you're reading this is underline increase and then underline inspiration, because these are 2 keywords, right? So they might have just written decrease. So when you underline that, your attention sort of goes to that, and you're like, okay, wait, decrease in pulmonary volume does not cause inspiration. I'm just saying for an example, okay? So try and read and underline important words, or box them, or obviously you can't highlight them, but underline them or box them, something like that would be helpful, right? And that's basically how I used to solve my paper. Nothing great. If you have any questions, you can ask me. But yeah, this is like a model, sample paper of how I used to solve it. And this was my major paper. I don't remember how much I scored, because I haven't written in this, because I used to I sometimes used to write my marks, sometimes I wouldn't write my marks, but I used to solve all of my wrong questions and all of my left questions in my notebooks, so I didn't really do it in this. So I'm not sure how much I scored in this, but this was a major test. I can show you inside. We had units and dimensions, basic maths, kinematics, and Newton's laws of motion. So yeah. And then this was ACT. This is ACT Island Common Test, which we had on 6th August 2023, in which I got 656 out of 720. And this is my rough sheet. And I used to do all my calculations on this, and even this over here. I used to do all my calculations in that. And I can show you basically again in this also. The blue ticks are all the questions that I got correct when we were discussing in class. And there's why there is no much scribbling on this paper is because I did everything in this sheet instead, so I didn't have to do everything over here. And then I did it here, and then you can see the pink color circle. That means I've got this question wrong, and that means I had to obviously do it again. So this was physics. Chemistry has a bit more scribbling because I guess I didn't do it in the rough sheet and I just did it here. So this was chemistry, and like this. So that was ACT. And SRG tests, obviously. I used to give SRG tests also. And my marks, okay, so let me talk about my marks. So my average marks in 11th used to be around 640 to 660, right? It has gone lower, but then, talking average, most of the time I would get around this range. It has gone lower, definitely. I used to come in 620, 615s also sometimes. but my lowest ever had been in an SRG test which I had given, and it was 595, and my highest was 705 in an 11th full syllabus test. So it was like a full syllabus test that we had in March of 2024, and I got 705 in that, and that was my highest. And yeah, that was for 11th. And if you have any other questions, you can totally ask me. And yeah, next let's move on to 12th. So these are my 12th papers. These are most of them. I couldn't find all of them. So yeah, this was my first ever 12th cut test, and I got 706 in this. But I think this was like the provisional result. I think the final result had changed, but yeah. So this was 706 out of 720. It was an easy paper because, you know, we had organisms and populations, and that too only populations coming in the test, and we had I think human health and disease ka only the first few pages, and ray optics for physics, and in chemistry I believe we had coordination compounds. So yeah, it was easy syllabus, so I got good marks in this. And yeah, this was my test paper. And then the only time I got 720 was in 12th, and this was my paper. Again, pretty easy. I mean, it was the start of 12th, so I was getting very excited to study, and you know, my marks did dip after that. It's not like I always got 700 in the tests. I definitely used to get a lot lesser than that, because you know, when you're just starting 11th or even 12th, you're very excited, and मतलब जोश रहता है पढ़ने का, right? So it's good. I'm not saying it's bad, it's good. You should have that josh, and you know, you will definitely see that your marks in the start were like pretty good, and then you know, they sort of stabilized a little bit, and you know, got a little bit lesser. But yeah, keep working hard. I mean, you will be able to, you know, make them stable rather than just going up and down, up and down, up and down. So that would be better if you had stable marks. Maybe what I talked just didn't make sense, but hopefully you get what I'm trying to say. And yeah, this was another SRG test. We had SRG tests. To be honest, the SRG tests, I used to give them again every 3 weeks, and yeah, they were a little bit tougher than the normal internal tests, obviously, and I used to score lesser. I will talk about that at the end. Okay. And yeah, these were all my papers. 1 second. Papers. I did not write the scores in the front, so I have no idea how much I got. Okay, in this it's written 680 out of 720. This was on 7th July 2024, and this was just after the NEET 2024 का test, and I slowly started to see कि मतलब, you know, हमारा जो paper patterns था वो change होने लगे थे, and we were getting comparatively easy papers, like, so you know it. So if you're comparing your marks with mine, don't compare it, because our paper pattern and your paper pattern is definitely different, because our coaching used to make papers based on NEET 2024, right? But obviously now the coachings will start making papers a bit harder because of NEET 2025. So don't worry about your marks, right? Look at the rank instead. If your rank is coming good, then great, you know, you're in a great position. The marks at the end do not matter, right? And yeah, so basically don't think कि अरे 680 तो बहुत दूर की बात है. It's about the rank, okay? Because you may have really good marks but not a great rank. You may have really bad marks but a great rank, as we saw from this year, right? So yeah, that's just what I wanted to say. कि जो हमारे papers थे, they were more oriented towards NEET 2024, but you know, the same might not be true for NEET 2026 and 7 aspirants. So yeah, don't worry about the marks. You might have a difficult paper. That's probably why you're getting less marks. So yeah, again, not written in this. Here I got 695 because I mean the papers weren't really hard, to be honest. So yeah, this were my 11th papers, and this was ACT. In 12th we had only one ACT, which was really strange. Usually we had like 3 ACTs in 11th, but this was ACT in 12th. We had electrostatics, capacitors, and current electricity. If you're wondering how I scored, I remember it was not that great. Physics was फिर भी fine, but my rest of the subjects, especially chemistry, was not good. Not good. So yeah, this were my papers. And my question solving strategy was like, you know, it's sort of, I'll show you if I'm able to see something here of like marking and attempting the questions. I was doing it very much towards the end. So let me see. Okay, yeah, this is a good example. So this was physics. This was a test that I gave in, hold on, 9th of April 2025, like less than a month before NEET. And if you can see, this is a physics question, right? So whenever I see any numeric values over here, I would just box it. Any important values, I would box it. Okay, so this was like on experimental physics. I would do the calculations on the side and I would like see any important values and I would box it, right? And similarly over here also, you can see I boxed an important value. And then over here also, see, if they've written in an AC circuit, decrease. What is it written? Yeah, decrease. So decrease, I boxed it because, you know, many times we read decrease, but then in our mind, it subconsciously goes to increase. So just to put our, you know, get our attention to that, I used to do that. And yeah, similarly over here also in this question, I used to like box all of the important values. So yeah. These were my 12th grade K papers. And just remember, whenever you're solving papers, whenever you're reading the question, read it very, very slowly, you know, see all, whichever you're finding any keywords, then definitely do underline it, box it, you know, read it again if you've not understood it properly. And yeah, then try to solve it next to the question so that it's easier for you when you revise. And also you get the habit of solving in a very compact space because that'll help you during NEET. Okay. And talking about my marks during NEET, not during NEET, during 12th, was around 650 to 680, 90 average, you know, because obviously it has gone lower. I have reached even 620, 610s and all of that in 12th also, but they were better in 12th than 11th. Also, I think that's because of the paper pattern changing, and also I started working a little bit harder in 12th, and yeah, that's probably why I saw a lot of increase in my marks. My highest was 720 and my lowest was around 540 or something, because that was in an SRG test and I was not prepared for that test at all. It was really bad. Especially physics. Mainly physics was really bad in that. And yeah, I ended up scoring 540 and my rank was also like not very great. It was like around 40 or 50. I'm not sure. Something like that. But yeah, I may be wrong but about my rank. But I definitely remember my marks were around 540 or something like that. So yeah, these were my marks in 12th. And next I'll try to talk about the SRG tests and stuff. So SRG tests are obviously a lot more difficult than normal internal tests. And in SRG, I mean, I wouldn't really do anything different in terms of preparation because we didn't really have any other material for SRG. I know some people, like I know Alan does have separate material for SRG, but we never received it. I do remember though solving for 2 chapters, some SRG ka PDF and stuff for ray optics, and for electrostatics or current I had solved like a different set of questions, but after that we never got anything else, so that was great. Yeah, in SRG, I mean, I mostly scored 600 plus only. It was always 600 plus, and just that 2 times that I got lesser than 600 was 595 and 540 ke aaspaas, right? And my highest was 695 because those were some of my strongest chapters, and it was during, I think, November, December when I got that. So yeah, it was great. It was good. Try and see if you can solve like a little bit tougher questions, harder questions before you write your SRG test if you are in SRG. And mainly like focus on brushing up your concepts, because you know they try to ask questions from they will ask questions from NCERT obviously, but you know, they'll try and sort of twist the questions, so your concepts need to be like crystal clear before you attempt the tests. And yeah, physics can be a nightmare sometimes, but it's fine. We'll just, you know, go through it and stuff. And lastly, I'm going to talk about test analysis. So for test analysis, what I used to do is after getting the results and stuff, I would open the paper again and I would, you know, see whichever question I have got wrong. I would circle it with like a red color or pink color pen, and then I would see you know, why I have got this question wrong. Okay? What I used to do basically. So this is my physics notebook, and you can see this was my first SRG test. This is 11th grade ki notebook, And then I used to just write down whichever question I've got wrong, write the correct option, and write the whole explanation why it's correct, and just solve the question again. I would just do this. This is for physics only, so you can see in the next slide also. I used to basically just solve the questions whichever I had got wrong, or whichever, those 5 questions in section B. I used to solve them in my notebook once again, right? And the right way this time. And then, for example, another test is this. This was my internal test 3. Again, I wrote the question whichever I got wrong, and then I solved it. Wrote the question whichever I got wrong and solved it again the correct manner now, obviously. And this is how I would do my test analysis. And also in 12th, I started to do something different. I mean, I would still continue to do this, but also I would, figure out the reason why I got that wrong, why I got the question wrong. And I'll try to put a photo over here of an example. And I used to send it to my teachers also, just to tell ki what are the reasons I've got the question wrong. But try to at least spend minimum of 2 hours analyzing your tests. Don't just go through all your wrong questions. What I would do when I was solving the test, during the solving time, I would see कि अगर मुझसे कोई question difficult लग रहा है मुझे, but फिर भी I'm able to solve it. So I would put a circle around it in pen or pencil. And then when I would analyze the test, I would go through that question as well, just because I was finding it difficult during my solving time, during the time I was getting the paper. So then I would probably go and revise the concepts so that next time if it comes in the test, it's not that tough for me and I can solve it easily, right? So that was sort of the whole thought process behind that. So don't just solve your wrong questions, also try and solve the questions that you found difficult while solving the paper, so that when you're solving the paper, just put a circle around it so that you remember to see this when you're analyzing your tests. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have any specific questions, you can ask me. It will take a little bit of time for me to reply because I'm obviously not online all the time. So just bear with me. I will reply though, definitely, don't worry. And so in the end, I'd just like to say, if don't skip on tests, keep giving your mock tests. You might get demotivated by your scores, but keep working hard. You will eventually see an increasing slope, not a decreasing slope. But you have to work hard for that. You have to practice a lot of questions. You have to revise your concepts again and again, your notes again and again, and just don't run away from tests, right? Keep giving all the tests, and ultimately you will be able to see a positive increase in your marks. And yeah, that's it. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for 5,000 subscribers. It means so much to me, and I truly thank all of my lovely subscribers so much. And thank you so much. And let me know if you want me to do a video on NEET prep tests also. And yeah, just put it in the comments, and I'll try to make one on that. So yeah, thank you so much. Bye bye.